Internet suddenly goes down everywhere. Listen carefully. No social media, no news, no GPS, no banks. When that happens, you won't be able to search for what to do. So take this information now, because once the signal is gone, you will be on your own. At first you'll think it's your Wi-Fi. You'll restart the router, your phone, maybe even check the cables, but nothing will reconnect. Then you'll realize it's not just you. The whole neighborhood is offline. No messages, no updates, no explanations. Within minutes, panic will start. People will rush to ATMs that don't work. Digital payments will not work. Everything is digital. Everything will stop. Stay calm. Keep your phone charged, just in case the network returns. Find a radio, any radio. Old analog signals might still carry real information. If you're with family, stay together. If you're alone, go to a safe place with others. There will be chaos. People may start committing crimes. Fear travels faster than truth. And if the silence lasts too long, remember, this is how the world looks when the internet disappears.
You're watching the Nicholas J. Fuentes Show. Since this is our first episode, I thought I'd offer a brief introduction. I am a libertarian with a small L, a Republican, and a constitutionalist. I believe in individualism, American exceptionalism, and small government. Now, our first topic for our first episode is
Jews are running society, women need to shut the f*** up, blacks need to be imprisoned for the most part.
É o quê, amor?
Casper, my big guy. So when people see that happen, everybody's like, oh my God, he loves you so much. And I'm here to tell you he does not. I'm here to ruin the fantasy guys. This is not a Disney movie. Casper does not love me. I love him. He does not love me. And yes, he would kill and eat me if I were to let him. So I do have to always be very careful and very aware in my interactions with him. People are like, yeah, but right now he's not attacking you. It means that he loves you. It's like, no, it actually means that I know how to handle the alligator and not put myself in a zone where I'm going to get bit. Like right now, if I... See how fast that was? That's how you lose a limb. That is the emphasis of the fact that this animal doesn't love me. And if I wasn't quick and I didn't know what I was doing, he would have just ripped off my hand. 100%, okay? And that's why when I do this, I know how to do this, and I know how to orient my body in a position where I'm not going to get bit. That's the trick. That's the secret. The secret trick is having skills. That's it, and knowing how to handle the animal.
I keep telling y'all, stop eating these processed foods. It's going to mess around and send you to your maker. So apparently the truth about Campbell's soup is out. And allegedly they've been selling chicken that ain't chicken. You heard what I just said? The chicken that they're putting in the soup, allegedly that chicken is not chicken. Matter of fact, Look at this shit. Listen to this shit.
Poor people. Who buys our shit?
You heard that?
I don't buy Campbell's
Listen.
barely anymore. So healthy. Now that I know what the in it, even in a can of soup, I look at it, look at me, bioengineered meat.
You hear that?
I don't want to eat a piece of chicken that came from a 3D printer.
If you heard that video, he said, allegedly, that he doesn't want anything that came out of a 3D printer. Allegedly, he said the chicken is bioengineered meat. And to top it off, he said their products are for poor people. And that was the vice president of Campbell's.
A former Campbell Soup Company employee is taking legal action against the food giant, and he's making some explosive allegations about one of its top executives. Good evening, and thanks for joining us at 6. I'm Ty Steele.
I'm Kimberly Gill. Those allegations are now at the center of a lawsuit claiming the company's vice president went on an hour-long tirade attacking the company's products and employees before taking aim at its customers.
And the former employee recorded it all. Eric Erickson shares that recording and what the company is saying about it.
We have shit for poor people. Who buys our shit?
And that's just part of an over an hour-long rant, says former security analyst for Campbell's, Robert Garza of Monroe.
I don't buy Campbell's products barely anymore. So healthy. Now that I know what the in it, even in a can of soup, I look at it, look at me, bioengineered meat. I don't want to eat a piece of chicken that came from a 3D printer. You?
The recording allegedly of Campbell's VP and Chief Information Security Officer Martin Bally.
He has no filter.
Bally, along with another supervisor and Campbell Soup Company, named in a lawsuit filed Thursday. The suit claiming Bally made racist remarks, admits to coming to work high, and Garza fired for coming forward.
What do you think about the things that he was saying?
Oh, just pure disgust.
Garza says he usually worked remotely for Campbell's headquarters based in Camden, New Jersey. But thinking he'd be discussing his salary with Bally, he says the recording taken in person at a restaurant.
They couldn't think for the themselves. I'm like, you dumb
Garza says he felt sick after the rant, deciding to go to his direct supervisor in January, keeping the recordings to himself.
He had never had any disciplinary action. They had never written him up for poor work performance.
Garza says no one at Campbell's ever followed up, and it's taken him 10 months to find a new job, calling the way the canned soup company handled it simply terrible.
They have a motto, like we treat you like family, here at Campbell's, come work for us, we treat our employees like family. That's not the case.
We did just receive a statement from Campbell's. It says, quote, "If accurate, the comments in the recording are unacceptable. They do not reflect our values and the culture of our company. We are actively investigating this matter." We've also reached out directly to Martin Bally.
Let me explain something to white people.
Well, this should be good. I'll be right back. All right, go.
Our hair comes out of our head naturally in a curly pattern.
A curly pattern. I see that you took the time to straighten it today, though.
But when we're straightening it to follow your beauty standards,
only white people set the beauty standard.
We are trapped by the straightness.
Trapped by straightness. We're talking about hair, right? Not sexuality.
That's why so many of us can't swim.
Can't swim because trapped by straightness.
And we run away from the water.
Do you shower?
I won't go to the gym.
White people have stopped you from living a healthy lifestyle.
Because we're trying to keep our hair straight for y'all.
Did a white person tell you that you had to do that?
Braids are for y'all so we can work harder and focus on the works.
So why are you not wearing braids today?
Why do we need an act?
You don't.
Don't tell me how to wear my hair.
We don't.
Don't wonder about it. Don't touch it.
Don't even look at it.
Now, dude, nobody on YouTube is talking about this. Epstein Island, Moses Levy, guess where he relocates to? It's the Father Island. That Epstein Island is a tiny little freckle on.
So they're basically like...
It's the same island. Yeah, there is no Epstein Island. And, dude,
This is the top slave trader, the top ship, or the top ship owner.
Yeah. So Moses Levy, he gets kicked out of Morocco. He comes to the Virgin Islands, St. Thomas, Charlotte Amalie, which is the island that Epstein Island is connected to. So, dude, this St. Thomas connection, it goes so deep, and literally, like, this is the first podcast that's going to break this. Nobody knows who this is.
This is all brand new to me. I'm like blown away with so many things today.
Moses Levy goes to St. Thomas and starts his family. I think he had like a son who was already born or whatever. And he's in the Caribbean. He's getting rich. He's a big, big slave trader. Well, one day, Jake, this guy has an epiphany. I don't know if it's in his sleep or a sickness or what, but similar to Columbus. He has almost like an epileptic episode.
키들이 있습니다. 자주 안 쓰이는 키들은 상대적으로 여유로운.
요즘 컨디션 어때? Not bad.
급속도로 수명이 단축된 키들이죠.
자기야 뭐해?
Sarah Hurwitz said that in order to keep young Jews in favor of Israel, we need to ban cell phones until they're 18. Like, after all the screwed up stuff that she said last time in her speech, she doubled down on it and is like, yeah, the problem is actually that people are seeing the genocide. She literally said, as I'm trying to make arguments in favor of Israel, I realize that I'm speaking through a wall of dead children. So it's hard for young Jews to be brainwashed into supporting Israel because they're constantly seeing Israel murder children in Palestine. And the solution to that isn't to, stop Israel from murdering children, but rather to stop young Jews from seeing it. To ban cell phones so that they can't see all the children being murdered and starved and displaced in Gaza. You need to wait until they're, thoroughly brainwashed to the point where they don't even care about Palestinians at all. Brainwash them to the point where they don't even see Palestinians as human beings, so that when they grow up and when they do see what's happening in Palestine, they won't care. Because they won't see them as human beings deserving of life. I think that was the insane part was that when she said, like, oh, I realized I'm speaking through a wall of dead children, the guy she was speaking to, like, next to her, he said, yeah, and that's the emotional blackmail. He said that people are manipulating you into caring about Palestinian children. That they're showing you footage of thousands upon thousands of innocent children and civilians in Gaza being brutally murdered and displaced and starved by Israel, and they're showing you that only to manipulate you into hating Israel. Emotionally blackmailing you into caring about children. I'm sorry, but like, how beyond evil do you have to be? Like, how depraved of a person do you have to be for that to be your mindset? If you see footage of what's happening in Gaza and you feel bad about it, that's not because anyone's emotionally blackmailing you. That's just called your conscience. That's because you still have a tiny bit of a soul left within you that's saying, hey, genocide is wrong. Slaughtering thousands upon thousands of innocent civilians, taking their homes, stealing their land, bombing their buildings, stealing their entire life away from them, that is wrong. The oppression and brutality that Palestinians have faced at the hands of the Israeli government for over 70 years is wrong. And just like how Israel loves to target journalists and silence them so that the truth doesn't get out, it's the same thing with banning cell phones. You want to ban cell phones and ban TikTok to sue universities and do all these crazy stuff so that people can't find out the truth about what you're doing to Palestinians. And if you have to keep the truth away from the public in order to keep them on your side, you're in the wrong. You're on the wrong side of history and you know it.
Absolutely crazy, and these signs are already electric, so they don't need to change. And now they've updated them with these. What is the point when they don't have security to stop shoplifters? Paper ones work just fine, paper ones are these. Why have they updated them with that? And also these, and what the fuck is this? I've never seen this in a supermarket before, but there's loads of them. They're on every one. It's just fucking weird. You're expecting to think that's not watching me? Okay.
Don't know if anyone's seen this trend, but it's wild. It's basically pictures of the past versus pictures of the present, and there's a common theme. Slowly, over time, colour has just been leached out of our society as we favour black, grey, beige and glass. That's McDonald's before and after. That's the Home Alone house, which was an affluent house filled with lots of colour. Same house, no colour. So we've kind of conditioned people to think that affluence and trendiness is colour. That is the city centre of Glasgow, so it's architecture as well, beautiful building. They replaced it with this monstrosity, the St Enoch Centre. I don't trust this world. I don't trust the people that run it. I think that this is deliberately being orchestrated to make us feel dead inside, right? Because colour is actually very stimulating for the brain. As a hypnotherapist, I get people to imagine colours for things like pain relief. Lots of religions have colours. The chakra system has colours. Colours arouse the brain. They stimulate us and they make us creative. And I think that we have taken colour out of society to make us feel jaded, flat, lifeless and dead inside. I don't know. That's my views. What do you think?
If you misgender someone, you're a dick. If you misgender someone, you're a dick. If it's a mistake, just correct yourself and move on. But if you misgender someone, you're a dick.
I don't have to fucking play along with the mental illness you got going on. No, I will not act like you're a Jane when you're a Jack. You can call yourself a chick, but you are wrong. In 1,000 years when they check your bones, they're gonna look inside and see your chromosomes. They're gonna check your DNA, and every single test will say that these belong to a man, this we know. Telling me the words that I have to use. Using language is a game you're gonna lose. You can call yourself they, but I don't have to play, and I will not bend my speech to fit your views.
Boys, I know a lot of you lot in the pen are struggling with these burner phones. You can only make calls on them, you can't go on social media, you can't watch TikTok. See that? iPhone 17, mate, mini. Yeah, you got this in prison with you, take it out your ass, wipe the shit off, yeah, and boom, you're chilling. Snapchat, Instagram, YouTube, you can be watching whatever you want in there. No more need for these magazines and shit, you get me, bro? Whack this, yo, cuz, what you saying? Feds come in straight, boom, straight back up, mate. You're never getting caught with this, I'm telling you. And guess how much this is? £50! £50 for that! Brother, this is an iPhone 17, latest model, and again...
There are two books in American history that were so censored that they destroyed the printing plates. And both books talked about the same group of people. The first book was Banking and the Money Trust by Charles Lindbergh, not the father of the baby who was kidnapped. He was the grandfather, and he may have taken on the banks and Wall Street more aggressively than any other person in America in the 20th century. Look at what he said about the Federal Reserve Act. This act establishes the most gigantic trust on earth. When the president signs this bill, the invisible government by the monetary power will be legalized. The people may not know it immediately, but the day of reckoning is only a few years removed. The worst legislative crime of the ages is perpetrated by this banking bill. And when he tried to warn America, they censored the book and destroyed the printing plates. Well, fast forward to 1966, and you have this Georgetown professor, Carroll Quigley. He wrote a book called Tragedy and Hope. And Quigley claimed to have all of this insider information about the power structures that really run the world. And he named a lot of the same people that Charles Lindbergh exposed. J.P. Morgan, the Warburgs, Jacob Schiff, the Rockefellers, Benjamin Strong. Quigley would add John Cecil Rhodes, the Rothschilds. He talked about secret societies, and just like Lindbergh, Quigley's book would be censored and the printing plates destroyed. And before he died, Quigley talked about this in interviews. But isn't it interesting that both books talked about the banking powers, and both were not only censored, but the printing plates destroyed. And this is why I write children's books on that same banking system. and about how information is controlled. Because our parents and grandparents didn't have access to this type of information. But with the internet, we've become the generation of the Great Awakening. But the way that we win, the way that we build the country that we deserve, is to make sure that the children of the Great Awakening grow up knowing the truth.
The Russians are fighting the Khazarian mafia in their homeland. They're cutting the head off the snake of the group that has been destroying this planet for generations.
What does that have to do with Australia today, here and now?
Because they control this country like they control everywhere else, and the Russians, along with many other nations and many other militaries, are actually fighting a subterranean war to exterminate vermin from the planet. Mandates and COVID are just one part of a larger scheme to depopulate the planet. We have been robbed, we have been raped, we have been killed for generations. And the mandate, directed by the government and enforced by the police and provided for by the big pharma, have been exterminating the people. It's all part of the same plan.
Russia needs to lose and lose badly. Russia needs to crawl out of Ukraine on their knees, begging for mercy. That's what the Chinese need to see. That's what the Saudis need to see. That's what every dictator on the planet needs to see to ensure that they don't get any ideas themselves. Because if what they see is, oh, Russia is allowed to invade a democratic European country, literally on the borders of NATO, to butcher senselessly tens of thousands of people, to threaten global food security, to cause refugee crises, to cause the kind of destruction we haven't seen on this continent since World War II. If they're allowed to get away with this in the 2020s and then get back to business, well, then nothing's going to stop the Chinese from attacking Taiwan or from pressing forward in the South China Sea, etc. Because NATO will have shown that we cannot even keep the peace in our own front garden.
This needs to stop
and that is much more dangerous than internal political chaos
so much cancer
in Russia. The implications of this war are truly global. This war, this conflict, shapes our century. And what we do or don't do will determine the rest of our geopolitical arrangement for the next generations.
I wonder if you think the UK is on its way to being uninvestable.
The simple answer is yes. I don't particularly like the guy, but I was watching a video by Dominic Cummings about the A66 in North England, and they've got this is an 18-mile stretch of road where they want to move it from single carriageway to dual carriageway. And the UK system is going to take 30 years to do that. I could, if I was allowed to build it in 9 months. So long as the UK takes 30 years to do a 9-month project, it's uninvestable.
Magda?
You know, I've spent the last 5 years commuting between UK and South Africa. I've got business here, an adventure capital business in the UK. I've just come back to South Africa. Uninvestable. That government is, you know, between the socialism, and I don't know how right the statistic is, but close enough. 25% of the working population in the UK is on social benefits. If you've got anxiety disorder, you can get social benefits. But, you know, it's an economy that has completely been destroyed, and because Labour has just come in, we're looking at, you know, 4 more years of this mismanagement of the economy. A scary country, wouldn't touch it with a barge pole. As I said, I find South Africa so much more interesting.
People ask me, how do you know how to build all this cool shit? Well, short answer, I have the internet, power tools, and I'm not a fucking retard. This stonework, for example, I've never done this before. I just saw some rocks in a quarry. I was like, those look cool. I bet you I'd stick them on a wall. Bought the rocks, brought them home, stuck them on the wall. If you want to do something, the best way to accomplish that is by just fucking doing it. Last I checked, this is still America, and you're free to do whatever the fuck you want. If you want to be a bitch and ask them for permission every time you want to do something, then that's on you. I don't remember the US government asking us for permission to sell us all out to Israel, so why in the fuck should we ask them permission to do anything? I don't know, maybe I'm alone on this, you tell me. I'm kinda sick of getting lied to and then fucked in the ass. And I know you're thinking to yourself, but I've never overthrown a government before, and I'm like, neither have I. There was a point in your life where you hadn't touched a titty either. You didn't let that stop you from trying, and look at it. Now it's one of your favorite pastimes. Call me crazy, but I got this weird little thought in the back of my head that says tarring and feathering corrupt motherfuckers could be just as fun as playing with titties. And I bet it's one of those things that you don't even need to be good at for it to be a good time. I'm sure there's some optimal temp to get the tar heated up to make it flow just right, but I'm totally okay with just working that out through trial and error. Did you hear that? I'm pretty sure that was the sound of the Fed sticking another gold star next to my name on the naughty list. You know, they play that game like GTA, and at 5 stars, they come in Ruby Ridge, you shoot your kid, your dog, and your wife. And I know that might be a little much for some of you, but if you made it this far in the video, I figure you're ready to learn some shit like that. Moral of the story, never give up your guns. 2 is not enough. You can't finish what you don't start. Fuck the deep state and long live this beautiful republic.
This is crazy as fuck. I need everybody to save this video just in case it gets taken down again. I just did a video about 30 minutes ago. I've been trying to get it appealed. The appeal did not get approved. Anyways, I presented some identities, okay, of certain ICE agents located specifically in Chicago. A group that I associate myself with went through some public records and found over 2,000 ICE agents, right? Well, throughout those 2,000 ICE agents, specifically 121 of them, right, had experience as an ex-IDF soldier. If you went up and down this entire list of individuals, you'd notice that their last names in particular, right, all lead back to one specific location with no other job experience. And maybe it won't let me post it because it's personal information. I have no idea. But there's literally a whole motherfucking list of these people and they all look the same. Which tells me exactly why they're choosing to hide their faces, because just imagine, right, if some information like that were to get out. Which is why I'm making this video once again. I'm just saying, if you look into the background of these specific individuals, you might notice that they're not exactly a US citizen. That in itself would prove everything, especially why they're acting the way that they are.
Was activated on that day.
Sure.
So the IDF killed a whole bunch of their own people.
Conspiracy, completely conspiracy.
There's literally thermal images of them shooting at people at the
that's just not true.
At the festival.
Listen, I have people that I know that have been there that day at the Nova Festival, right? That did not happen. I was in the military. I served in the Israeli military. That did not happen. You can claim that. That's a complete conspiracy.
Okay, your position is the IDF did not kill Israelis on that day.
I mean, you could claim that something happened with Crossfire. That could have happened like anything, but no, not on purpose. There's no Hannibal Directive. That's just not a thing.
The Hannibal Directive isn't real?
It's a thing that people claimed in the 1990s, and it's not something that's been used ever.
Okay, so explain to me why Yoav Gallant admitted on Israeli television that the Hannibal Directive was absolutely activated on that day, and it should have been activated in other areas on top of that.
He just did not say that.
Yes, he did.
No, let me see that.
He didn't say that?
Pull it up. No, I don't know anything of that happening.
So you understand Hebrew?
Of course. When is this from?
This is Yoav Gallant on Israeli media admitting it. So
when?
This was, I think, maybe 9 months to a year ago. Okay, let's play that again now. So they say,
he said in certain
was the order given?
Yeah, he said in certain areas.
To use Hannibal Directive. I think tactically in some places it was, in other places it was not, and that is a problem. That's Yoav Gallant.
Yeah, sure.
The equivalent to R. Pete Hegseth, Secretary of Defense, or Secretary of War. For those of you that are unaware, because some of you guys might be saying, what the is a Hannibal Directive? The Hannibal Directive, guys, is a controversial technique that the IDF employs whenever they're under attack, where they kill Israelis, both soldiers and civilians, so that they are not captured and taken as hostages, because they understand that if any of those people make it back to Gaza and they're taken as hostages, they're going to have to go ahead and exchange anywhere between 100 to 1,000 Palestinians that are also being illegally held as hostages to get that Israeli back. So instead of dealing with that diplomatic nightmare, they'd rather just kill them. So that's your defense minister literally saying it. Denying that too?
No, I'm not denying it.
Telling you guys.
No, I'm not.
up at the window swearing at us because we have concerns about immigration. You might as well just put your jobs down and go ring the hotel company and get security work at this point. What are you wasting our money for?
Private security for illegal
Private
invaders.
security, bro, yeah.
Is this what they really signed up for?
There's 200 million Muslims living in India. That's the second largest Muslim population in the world. And you're saying that wherever Muslims live, there's
if Muslims become more than 30%, that country is in danger.
That sounds like hatred. That sounds like language of hatred.
It's easy to say hatred. I'm being kind to them by not letting them come to India.
Article 14 of the Indian Constitution guarantees the right to equality, as you know, for all persons living in India.
I can tell you that's a misinterpretation of Article 14. Article 14 guarantees equality of equals. I'll give you an example.
Are all people not equal?
All people are not equal.
Muslims do not deserve equal rights to apply for citizenship.
There's no such thing as equal rights. They're not in an equal category.
What the world? What's wrong with you? Ain't no way! Ain't no way!
Please tell me someone in here.
Where is this?
Give me these.
What's the world?
Man, just imagine you chilling, looking out the window, then this happen. Then the bird do some crazy shit like this. You don't know what to do. Spine or just trying to attack you, but on funnel grave. Shit is crazy, y'all. What?
During Biden's administration, Israeli officials considered nuking the United States if we stopped supplying them with weapons for Gaza. Think I'm exaggerating? No. Take a listen to this interview from last month.
I was told by certain people in the government, look, we didn't have choice because we were being threatened with a complete cutoff of arms. So I listened to this, and the individual telling me this said, you don't believe this? Or what? I said, oh, I believe that the Biden administration, as I called it, did threaten us. But I said, you're mistaken if you think there's never a choice. There was a choice. He said, well, what? Is it to have our weapons cut off? I said, no, let me bring you back to October 1973 during the Yom Kippur War when Henry Kissinger instituted an arms embargo against us. He stopped the aerial resupply of our army at that point to extract diplomatic concessions from us. And what happened? What happened was an A-4 Skyhawk was parked at Tel Nof Air Base with some interesting weapons under its wings. And we told the Americans, take your eye in the sky and take a good look at the airplane that's on that runway. And the next day, the airlift started. So the guy that I was talking...
Which airlift?
To Israel.
Uh-huh.
The arms airlift.
So in other words, we threatened their...
We threatened to use unconventional weapons. I'll leave it at that. And so he said, is this what you want us to threaten now? I said, absolutely. Except this time I want us to go forward with it if necessary. If they think we're bluffing, we go forward with it. Look,
wait, some people might look at this and hear you saying these things and say, he's a dangerous dude. You know, he could, blow up the entire Middle East.
That was Jonathan Pollard. He's an Israeli spy that spent 30 years in U.S. prison for sending U.S. intelligence to Israel. It's been discovered today that Mike Huckabee, the U.S. ambassador to Israel, met with him in July. Apparently, Mike Huckabee had it off his official schedule, and U.S. officials didn't know. Apparently, the CIA station chief in Israel had no idea Mike Huckabee was having this meeting as well. Apparently, the CIA station chief in Israel was alarmed and had no idea about this meeting as well. So that's what's really going on behind the scenes if you're wondering the truth of the relationship between the United States and Israel.
Officials or employees of the DOJ declassify materials that originated in other agencies. In
Totally cool. Right. Great point. Let's not do it. He just won me over. I totally forgot about that. That's such a good point that he just made about that. Totally fucking, the guy hit it out of the park right there. First of all, they literally told you a few months ago that Epstein was not running a trafficking ring at all. Now they're saying there are national security concerns in the intelligence of the guy who was not running a trafficking ring. Why would there be concerns about our national security in the Epstein files? Doesn't that seem odd to anyone? Supposedly there was no client list and he wasn't doing anything. And then if he was doing something, he was just pimping out girls to rich guys, which is obviously evil and they should all go to jail. But why does this have to do with our national security? That's odd. It's odd that we're talking about this in terms of, quote, intelligence and our national security. Remember, Jeffrey Epstein is just like a weird rich guy who has a predilection for underage girls, right? Like he's not doing anything on behalf of any foreign government, right? He's not doing anything that our government knew about, right? He's not blackmailing anyone. They told us it's not a blackmail operation, so it seems odd to me that there'd be national security concerns in the Epstein files. That's so weird. Johnson wasn't speaking off the cuff. He was quoting from a document produced by his office detailing 5 flaws with the bill. The 5th and final flaw, titled National Security Concerns, says that it's incredibly unwise to demand that the DOJ declassify materials originated by other agencies. That declassification should protect sources and methods and directs Congress to, quote, work with the Attorney General Pambandi to declassify in a reasonable time frame. It's just so odd that this thing that doesn't exist has national security implications. That's super weird. What? I don't get it. Even if Epstein was this guy who was like hiding money for people or, again, he was like a pimp. What does it have to do with America's national security? Huh.
Let me get your handshake.
Shut your bitch ass up!
Are you being disrespectful? Who's controlling this thing? Maybe I should kick it down. Let's see how far you can go when I kick you. Give me a hand. Who's controlling this thing? You can come here and pitch us. He can win
I don't understand why you have to pay to live on a planet you were born on. And then, it's such a simple question, and it's haunted me ever since. And you know what, ladies and gentlemen? Ask yourself that question. Why do we have to pay to live on a planet we were born on? And who are we actually paying for the privilege of being alive here? Who made them the boss? Who put them in charge? Think about that.
We should be heading towards something like a Nuremberg 2. Do you think that's a step too far?
No, it's not. We need military-style tribunals and hold these people accountable as soon as humanly possible as the casualties continue to mount of innocent people that are literally being duped and tricked by these false and fraudulent recommendations. These shots have injured, disabled, and killed millions worldwide. They have literally put people into the ground and destroyed families, So we have to remember, this is very serious. I would say those at this point in time in 2025 still pushing these mRNA injections, their penalties will be very severe.
Morning, everybody. I've got a lot of people commenting saying, "Oh, I'll come over with you, I'll come over with you." So I'm back on Thursday, so I'll liaison with certain people and I'll put something out there and I'll give you my telephone number and we can all meet up somewhere at some location as long as you've got time, because I'm back from work on Thursday. So if everybody who are saying they want to go over, we'll fucking go over. And what we'll do is we'll go over on my cars, we'll get everything split between them, we'll take plenty of clothes, so when we're going in the water and fucking slashing the dinghies, we've got people on the beaches protecting us. So we need to go over, enforce people, like there needs to be a lot of us. Take no expensive stuff, no like jewellery, no things like that. We'll take old phones so everyone can communicate with each other. Take changes of clothes, take bags, and we just need to go in by storm. Get in the water, slash the dinghies, people try to stop us. We'll do what we need to do in order to protect ourselves and protect the lads that's with us.
Thousands of Pakistanis are taking Britain for an island of mugs. I'm about to give you the brutal truth about our migration system and the people gaming it, while our own children are pushed aside. Because for years we've been told the big problem is small boats, illegal migration. And of course it is a big problem. The number of migrants who have crossed the channel this year alone is just under 39,000, an absolute disgrace. But I argue tonight the real scandal's happening through the front door of Britain. New government data shows Pakistanis have been exploiting student, work and visitor visas on an industrial scale, using perfectly legal routes to slip into Britain, then suddenly claiming, once they're safely on UK soil, to be asylum seekers. Nearly 10,000 Pakistani nationals did exactly that last year. And in total, over 40,000 migrants entered the UK on legitimate visas, then claimed asylum after they arrived. Pakistan now makes 1 in every 10 asylum claims in Britain, the highest of any other country. But the question I'm asking tonight is, why are Pakistanis claiming asylum in Britain anyway? Who is Pakistan at war with? President Trump sorted the conflict with India. We send them £40 million of taxpayer money in foreign aid last year. Your money, my money. And they even have their own damn space program. They're planning to fly to the moon with China in 2028. The only thing mooning in the UK is our energy bills, the cost of living and crime. And I have no problem tonight saying that anyone, Pakistani or otherwise, who has gamed their way into the UK through this dodgy visa scam should be instantly deported or at least denied re-entry the next time they return from holiday in Pakistan. No benefits, no universal credit. Enough is enough. And it goes without saying that everyone involved in the Pakistani grooming gang scandal, well, of course, they can go home too. Thousands of people are strolling through airport arrivals in Britain with a visa in hand and an asylum claim ready to go. But here's where this becomes absolutely unforgivable. Up to 600 asylum seekers could be about to take over Crowborough Army Training Camp in East Sussex. That's my neck of the woods back home in Blighty. And breaking tonight, instructors have said that cadets training at the camp, young people, may have to be suspended or moved out because they can't guarantee the safety of children when migrants arrive. That's Britain's future soldiers, our own teenagers, forced out of their training centre because safeguarding them from leering migrants is now considered impossible. It's a disgrace.
The Department of Homeland Security has their X account in Israel. It was a part of Twitter's new rollout where they show the country of origin and where you're at. And it showed the Department of Homeland Security in Israel, started in Israel in 2009. And then, surprisingly, the whole thing got shut down. Said, whoa, like 20 minutes, Twitter took it off. X said, we can't do this. And then they brought it back, and now government accounts don't have to show their location. But you know what's crazy is people have reported on this. Israel controls cybersecurity for countries, for multiple countries. It's called the Cyber Dome. You want to know who runs it? The same guy who got arrested 2 months ago in Las Vegas trying to rape a kid, and they allowed him to leave and go back to Israel. Tom Alexandrovich. This is the reality we live in, guys. Israel controls everything. Child rapists are controlling everything, and we sit back and we don't say anything.
Candice, the planes. Maybe sit down because there's more. Candice highlighted 2 Egyptian planes. Many people have tagged me, so I looked into them too, and when I did, my jaw dropped. First, a quick clear-up of the timestamps from the gentleman sharing flight details on Candice's show. On September 10th, Utah was -6 of UTC, not -7 because of daylight savings. So everything I'm about to say is in the correct Utah Mountain local time. So, Egyptian planes. To give you an idea of how rare it is in the entire United States today, there's one that pops up. But September 10th, not one but 2 Egyptian state-owned jets. SU Bravo November Delta, I'm going to go with SU BND, and SU Bravo Tango Tango, which I'll call SU BTT. These are not tourism jets. They are military, government, transport aircraft. These aircraft normally land at major diplomatic or military hubs, not small regional airports. Their presence at Provo Airport would require special U.S. clearance and is highly unusual. Not only were both of these jets at Provo on September 10th, but separately, both of them arrived via Minot Air Force Base. This is America's only nuclear base that holds 2 out of the 3 U.S. nuclear triad. If it's press the button time, this base is key. One of these planes was only on the ground for less than an hour, tight for refueling, but might work when something or someone needs to be picked up, dropped off, or something or somewhere needs to be authorized. And the very next stop for both of these planes, after going wheels up from Minot Nuclear Air Force Base, was Provo. And by the way, SU BND landed at Provo May 23rd, 2025 and stayed till September 14th. A foreign state aircraft hanging out at a regional airport for nearly 4 months. SU BND also did this on September 5th, 5 days before the assassination. SU BND flew a straight corridor north of Provo and then came straight back. It did not land anywhere. Analysts would call this a mapping run, an electronic surveillance sweep, sensor calibration, or an intelligent flight conducted under special clearance. Then, on September 14th, it finally left Utah for Goose Bay, Newfoundland, which is a strategic NATO-linked location. And even its departure from Provo raised a little eyebrow. SU BND was supposed to leave on September 14th just after midnight, but sat on the ground for nearly 19 more hours before eventually taking off. Diplomatic aircraft movements normally are tightly controlled, so a big delay could mean something held the plane there or something needed to happen before it was cleared to depart. Believe it or not, this will get stranger with Axel 10. On September 10th, the day Charlie was shot, a US ISR contractor jet shows up in the mix. Axel 10, a Bombardier Global 6500 operated by LaSalle, which is owned by Leidos, a major military intelligence contractor tied to the Army's Hades deep sensing program, which means detect, map, track signals, communications, electronics, and activity far beyond the line of sight, from dozens to even hundreds of miles away. On September 10th, Axel 10 made 2 extremely low passes. I calculated as low as 210 feet above ground level, directly aligned within roughly 3 miles of UVU. Once at 9:15 a.m., about 3 hours before Charlie was shot, and again at 12:48 p.m. local time, about 25 minutes after. A jet like this normally flies at 30, 40, 50,000 feet. And remember, when we see barometric altitude, that is height above sea level. When we take away the elevation of Provo and the lake the plane is flying over, that's how we arrive at 200 to 300 feet above ground level, which is crazy low, and analysts would probably say indicates emission. I pulled the KML files for both of the Axel 10 flights, and I wanted to show you how flawlessly aligned that dip is with the Orem UVU corridor. Both flights pass the exact airspace and do the same deep dip. Extremely precise behavior and airspace either side of Charlie Kirk's assassination. And still, it gets stranger. At 13:08 UTC, Universal Time Coordinated, which is 7:08 a.m. in Utah on September 10th, SU BTT begins departure from Provo. 7:08 a.m. At the same minute, according to its track, Axel 10 pops up on flight radar, wheels on the ground in El Paso for its departure, which will ultimately make that first deep dip. within miles of UVU. These are unrelated aircraft, right? An Egyptian military government plane linked to Minot Air Force Base and a US jet tied to deep sensing ISR programs. Both planes hundreds of miles apart. Besides the coincidental departure time, they also have in common the location of Provo on the day of the assassination of Charlie Kirk. Statistically unusual, which does not mean coordinated. I want to make that point. And we're not even done with the high strangeness. SU-BND, the other Egyptian jet that had been sitting dormant in Provo since May 23rd, on the morning of September 10th sent a handful of ground pings, as seen on Candace, but SU-BND did not take off. It is already unusual for a foreign state aircraft to be at Provo for months, so after being electronically silent, pinging on September 10th, the day of Charlie's shooting is again unusual. None of this proves a cause, a perpetrator, coordination, but this is real flight data, verifiable and irregular. At a minimum, we're looking at overlapping intelligence-grade activity in the air corridor of an assassination.
Hey guys, so we're at my mom's house and she decided to get Matt and I these matching sweatshirts, and I don't think she understands what they mean. Like, okay, here's his. Okay.
What? They're cute.
Mom, did you read them?
Yes. That's why I got them. They're cute.
But it says...
Yeah, I come in peace.
Yeah.
Peace.
Yeah.
You don't like the colors?
It's not the colors! It's not the colors!
Why do you suddenly think all over the internet it's palatable and it's safe and people don't get in trouble now for coming out and saying Israel runs everything? Well, it's because the British Empire is trying to get back control, the Rothschilds are trying to get back control of Israel, but also networks inside the United States and Europe, and there are other interlayered groups that are pushing them out right now. Just remember, I've told you thousands of times that Epstein, more importantly, was British intelligence as the clearinghouse above it. And I explained that in James Bond movies and books from Ian Fleming, who was the deputy head of OSS and the MI6 after World War II, he said, no, I put allegories in my books of real stuff and real plans and real ideas. And in there, you got Spectre's international criminal group that's got people in the Russians, the Chinese, the US, British intelligence, but it creates chaos for control and manipulation for its overall takeover of the economic and military systems of the world. Well, the British Empire and what that shadowy thing represents is Spectre. But you got to ask yourself, what point have we reached that the globalist power structure has lost so much control? This is all coming out. You think the Rothschilds, Lord Rothschild, Baroness Rothschild, you think they like it known that they were running Israel with Ehud Barak?
Here's another thing the satanic pedophiles didn't want you to know about. During lockdown, we were all under lockdown and free of sunlight and fresh air. They were conducting studies on how nicotine heals myocarditis. Funny, because we didn't see the explosion of myocarditis until after the jabs. But they did. They knew what was going to happen before it even happened, obviously. Here's another thing they didn't want you to know. Nicotine, which again, all tobacco products are being banned by 2030 after all of these studies and all this evidence was coming out that it heals Parkinson's, Alzheimer's, dementia, because it protects the neurotransmitters, it protects the nervous system, protects against all 39, I believe, variants of influenza. They did a study where they found that they were able to heal glioblastomas in 72 hours with intravenous nicotine. It heals all forms of arthritis, all autoimmune conditions, POTS, lupus, fibromyalgia, Lyme, Epstein's-Barr, you name it. Pretty much heals all diseases and conditions. That's why they are banning the product. People are still questioning, can you become addicted to the nicotine? The difference is that when you put a transdermal patch on your skin, like a 7 milligram or a 14 milligram, it's releasing over time. So your body is getting the 7 milligrams or the 14 milligrams, but it's about 24 hours, it's releasing in small amounts. So you're not getting a huge amount into the body at once, like as if you were smoking a vape or cigarettes. By the way, people that did smoke, like I did say before, were protected more against COVID than those that didn't. because of the heavy doses of nicotine in their body. Not saying, people are saying, oh, smoking is good, you should be smoking. No, you shouldn't be smoking. Every single cell in your body has nicotinamide receptors, just as it does vitamin D receptors. So these are hormones like vitamin D and nutrients that your body needs and can benefit from. I use the Rugby 7 milligrams. So what I would recommend is you take a patch. Week 1, you can start off by cutting the patch in half, so it'd be 3.5 milligrams, or you can cut the half patch in half. Super sensitive, start smaller. If you're not as sensitive, you could start with half a patch for the first week. Mid-second week, keep on the half a patch and then add the other half, so it'd be a full patch. You keep that on for 24 hours. People are like, okay, where do I put the patch? Between your shoulder blades. You can put the patch on both shoulders, the bottoms of your feet, the inside of your arm. Keep it away from the heart area. In conjunction with the patch, I would be on a binder. If you are extremely toxic, especially if you've been jabbed, you're going to be releasing toxins very quickly. So you might be getting some Herxheimer detox reactions and effects. So make sure that you're starting slow and you're also taking it with a binder. Oh, but remember, nicotine is addicting, nicotine is bad, and that's why they're banning it by 2030.
I have a question. Why is the personal allowance in the UK still stuck at £12,500? Still, in 2025, when the cost of living has gone through the roof, and we are still taxing people when they get past £12,500 per year. This is a part-time minimum wage salary. Not enough to live on by any stretch. Not enough for bills and rent, let alone enough to pay tax. This has remained frozen since 2021, the longest time that it's been frozen for in 50 years. That just puts into perspective how bad this is. And why have Labour and the Tories kept it frozen? Well, the answer is simple. It's the easiest way to tax people in real terms without them objecting. A stealth tax. No announcement, no approval, no backlash. Just leave it where it is and let inflation do the rest. Meanwhile, people are getting taxed more and more each year in real terms. Couple that with the fact that inflation has outpaced wage growth for the majority of the time since the millennium, and people are really feeling it. Raising the allowance would give people a pay rise in real terms without putting any additional pressure on businesses.
Prime Minister, is it important that politicians stick to their word?
Yes, it is important that politicians stick to their word. They have to make decisions against a difficult backdrop. We've obviously got big decisions to make in the budget that's coming in just a few days' time.
So I've got your manifesto here. Will you keep your word not to increase taxes on working people? It's on page 21 in this document.
Well, we made that commitment, and obviously we'll lay out our plans at the budget, which is just a few days away now, so you'll be able to see exactly what decisions we've made. Now, obviously, we make those decisions against a very difficult backdrop. We had the 2008 crash, where people haven't felt much better off since then. We then had austerity for a number of years, which destroyed our public services. Then had a botched Brexit deal, which damaged our economy, and then then COVID and the conflict in Ukraine. But we will make. It's very important that we take the right decisions for our country. I'm optimistic about the future of this country. I absolutely believe that this can be much better on living standards, on our public services, and on how people feel.
You told me a year ago, days before the 2024 budget in Chockham, you said we made an absolute commitment that income tax wouldn't go up, national insurance wouldn't go up, their VAT, as in working people, wouldn't go up. I said that in the campaign. We're going to keep those promises. Will you make that commitment again today?
Well, Beth, we're going to set this out in just a few days.
You won't, will you?
Well,
you said that just a few days before the last budget.
You know
you did make the commitment before the last budget.
You know that the decisions will be made and set out in full in just a few days' time.
You're not going to.
You'll be able to.
Will you make the commitment again now? You won't, will you?
You will be able to hold me to account, Beth, when those principles are set, when those decisions are set out.
But you won't rule out tax rises on